We're well advanced past this stuff here. Rounding and estimating. I will just briefly go through this. Let's say you've got, well, 1,375,821. And I asked you to round to the nearest, I don't know, 1,000. We've done this in fifth grade, so I'm not gonna say. What would that number be rounded to the nearest 1,000? Just to make sure everybody's pretty sharp on this here. That number rounded to the nearest 1,000. You're rounding just to get, sometimes you don't need exact numbers, just close enough. Rounding to the nearest 1,000. Somebody back there. Grace Christ, round that number to the nearest 1,000. What's the first thing you look at? What number's in the thousands place? This 5. So your two choices are going to be either this number is going to stay the same or you're going to round up to a 6. So your choice is either 1,375,000 or 1,376,000. In which case this is going to be? Why? Because the number next to it. You always look at the number next to the one you're rounding. So yeah, this one is 1,376,000. What about to round to the nearest 10,000? What would that number be rounded to the nearest 10,000? It would be 10,000. It would be, Emily?
1,300.
1 million.
1,003,000.
300. This is 100,000.
1,300. 80.
Yeah, 1,380,000. Again, because this was a 7 and 5 gets to round up. What about rounded to the nearest million? It would be, Jason can handle this one, 1 million. What about rounded to the nearest 10 million? Would that be rounded to the nearest 10 million? Keith? This number rounded to the nearest 10 million. What's in the 10 millions place? So your choice is either 0 10 millions or 1 10 million. Yeah, that's rounded to the nearest 10 million would be 0. Now, something you may not be completely well aware of is rounding decimals. For example, they give us pi 3.14159. The book will ask you two different ways to round decimals. One, they might ask you to round to the nearest tenth. And if you're rounding this to the nearest tenth, what would it be? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Isabel?
3.1.
Okay, 3.1. Please know, when you're rounding decimals, okay, you do not change these to 0 and leave them on there. If you're rounding to the nearest tenth, the last digit you're going to have is going to be in the tenths place. Because if you put a bunch of zeros after that and fill in those other things with zeros, while that number means the same thing, it is not the same number. Because you'd have to say this not as 3 and 1/10. You'd have to say this as 3 and 10 hundred. 3 and 1,000 10,000ths is what you'd have to say. And you don't want to do that. So whatever number they ask you to round to, that's the last digit you're going to have. You don't put those extra zeros in there. The other thing they'll ask you is they might say to round to 2 decimal places. And when they ask you that, ladies and gentlemen, they're just asking you to find 2 places after the decimal, and that's the one that you're rounding. 1 place after the decimal, 2 places after the decimal. It's really the same thing as asking you to round to the hundredths place. What is that number rounded to the nearest hundredth or to 2 decimal places? It is, somebody in the back row is SG, or Grace, or Jules, or Luke. Eddie, you're left. Round this to the nearest, to 2 decimal places. 3.14. 3.14. Rounded to the 2 decimal places. All very exciting, I'm sure. Let's see. Look at page 111, please, in your book.